Hi, I'm Patty Ducharme. I'm the National Executive Vice President of the Public Service Alliance of Canada, and I'm a local of the Customs Immigration Union 20040 here in Vancouver.
And a lot of your work concerns the participation of women in politics and the trade union movement. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I'm the officer responsible for our women's program. And from a strategic perspective, what we've certainly seen is not just within the trade union movement, but throughout all political levels of offices, that when women are involved politically and elected as representatives, that there are better policies, not just for women, but families, for the social network. So we've worked really hard to try to ensure that our women members are involved politically. We've encouraged them to step up to the plate, to assume leadership positions within their locals, within their area councils, within their regional structures, and to engage politically so that they, as members of a female-dominated union, can set the agenda for our union moving forward.
Are there examples of this kind of work that you'd like to point to, positive examples, accomplishments?
Well, I think we can certainly look to recent history. It was our women who identified the issue of a gender-based pay gap and fought the pay equity struggle with the federal government. And quite honestly, hundreds of thousands of workers were impacted by that struggle. Many men were also impacted by it, but it was the women who led the charge. Good, strong activists who became more politically engaged and who, quite frankly, framed the agenda. Sisters like Nicole Turmel, who became our first national woman president and who's now a newly elected member of parliament in Gatineau Hall. And, they went forward, they did the work, they worked with other feminist organizations, and they made the government do the right thing to the benefit not only of women, but many workers who work in female-dominated classifications throughout the federal public service.
Now we have a conservative majority government. How will the work of your Women's Committee change?
Well, we've got a huge bumpy road ahead of us. I think it's less than 2 years ago that the federal government introduced the Public Sector Equitable Compensation Act that actually removed our right to file gender-based discrimination complaints under the human rights legislation. So that's already been taken away from us, but I expect that we're going to see a huge number of attacks that aren't just focused on women, but also focused on equity and human rights issues that we're going to have to take this government on and hold them to account. And we're only going to be able to do that by exercising leadership and working in coalition with other social justice partners, with young workers, with retirees, with faith groups, and on. I mean, we're going to have a really rough 4 years ahead of us.
I imagine, I'm sure you're planning preemptive work as well as the reactive work. Tell me about some of your plans.
Well, I mean, we've certainly, as a board, talked about what could happen. I think accountability and transparency of government are going to be big pieces of our work organizationally. We've heard Stephen Harper talk about accountability, about representing Canadians. And our members are Canadians, our members are voters, our members are taxpayers. So we're going to be doing the work that needs to be done for them to ensure that they continue to deliver important services to Canadians from coast to coast to coast. And we'll do that again working with users of those services and institutions who rely on those services as well.
And I presume there will be a good deal of outreach to people outside the union?
Absolutely. There has to be. We're going to be building a movement. I mean, it's going to be about coalition work. To suggest that it's only going to be the privileged, organized workers alone who are going to be able to take this government down would be misleading at best. We've got to get people who are unorganized. We have to get people who are retired. We have to get everyone really talking about what type of country they want to live in and ensuring that this government doesn't deconstruct the country we currently live in.
Any further comments you'd like to pass along?
I would say we've got a lot of work to do, not just for us as a union, the Public Service Alliance of Canada, but also with the Canadian labour movement. We've got to get our shit together, as one would say, work together, focus on who the enemy is, and right now that enemy is clearly, for myself, Stephen Harper.
Thank you very much, Patty.
Thanks.